Hello and welcome to PlayStation Grenade. What we are doing today is looking at 12 typical fights that happen in pretty much every Fortnite Battle Royale match. I've put together reliable approaches to each confrontation and hopefully a way to come out victorious in each of them. Let's get one thing straight right away. I'm a distinctly average player with pretty poor old man reactions, so if I can get wins using these tips, then you'll be wrecking bitches all day. Except for John Wick skins, those guys have got issues. Add all these strats to your playstyle and you'll be a force to be reckoned with. We'll start with the easy stuff and build to more advanced strategies, so please stick around until the end. I'm not going to treat you like a noob. I'm sure you've already had hundreds of one-on-one battles, you know how to build and you know how to shoot, but I do need to make sure, if you're playing on console, that you're using the new Builder Pro option. This will revolutionize your building options and therefore improve your overall game. After selecting build mode, each of the shoulder buttons constructs a different tile. R2 builds walls, L2 ramps, L1 pyramids and R1 floors. Give it a few days and I promise it's the best option for all players. With that out of the way, let's look at each fight in Fortnite and the best approach for each encounter. Let's start with an easy one, a one-on-one fight when the opposition hasn't a clue you are there. You may think engaging will automatically win the fight, but you're actually lowering your chances of success in the battle by a lack of preparation. The most common thing you should do in this and every single other scenario is build a ramp. Sounds basic, I know, but before every fight, place a ramp, even if you have the drop on your target. It's for a number of reasons. First, it's the high ground. Not all one-on-one fights are made equal, as the hills and valleys in Fortnite mean someone will always have the high ground. Not only does that high ground up your chances of hitting the headshot, it also diminishes your opponent's chances of hitting your dome. Additionally, think of a ramp as insurance, as it offers cover if you fluff your first shot at the target, a mistake which I regularly make. See the ramp as a safety net to hide behind when reloading, healing or scouting for foes. The ramp is your friend, so bloody use the thing. Next up is another very general tip in one-on-one fights, which if used correctly can end fights immediately. If you have the drop on someone, use your sniper rifle or hunting rifle. These beasts may only have a single round and may be best for long-range encounters, but if that round hits regardless of distance, the opposition will be rocked and near death instantly. If you hit a headshot, it's over before the fight even begins, but if not, the opposition will be in such a bad state, you'll instantly have the edge in battle. But here's the key point to this, it doesn't matter if you hit the shot or miss by a country mile. Think of it like a freebie, like a shot for nothing. Once the shot leaves your barrel, don't reload. Immediately switch to your assault rifle or your preferred weapon to keep the pressure on your opponent. Like I said in a previous video, don't stand and admire your snipes. Quickly switch to your preferred weapon and end the fight as soon as possible. Our next typical encounter happens quite often. You may be looting or healing in the open and a bullet hits you. Luckily, the opposition hasn't used tip 1 and rains fire on you from ground level. I'm sure you already know to counter with a quick build, but the type of build you throw up is important here. Consider a defensive retreat. This technique sees us backing away, but building a wall, followed by a ramp, followed by a wall, followed by the ramp. You get the idea. Once the attacker runs out of bullets and begins reloading, climb your ramp, adding another if possible, and turn the fight on its head. You'll be surprised what a deterrent a great defense is. Let's talk about ramp rushing and the best opportunities to attack. Here's a basic look. In this scenario, my opponent and I create a basic ramp and wall to attempt to engage one another. I land a few shots, which causes this chap to build higher to gain the height advantage. Aggressive players usually rush in right away, but that's not for everyone. Instead, there are a few signs of when attacking is 100% the right option. We already know he's weakened, and therefore the second I see him build the additional wall, I'm on the attack. The key is to ramp one level higher than your foe, so by the time they're ready to engage again, you're already on top of them and you end the fight. Of course, not all fights are so close to the ground. The higher the opponent, the less likely a ramp rush is the right play. If you choose to ramp rush someone 3 or more tiles high, you should think about using the double ramp technique. It's pretty self-explanatory, it's simply 2 ramps side by side. But why do we do this? Well, when ramp rushing, if your opponent can't see your head, they'll instead attempt to knock down your ramp. In a single ramp rush, this can be done far too easy, but by including a second ramp, or even a third in some cases, you can ascend and be relatively safe on the way. We can add to this by using a wall too. By placing a wall, you are effectively covering your ramp from destruction. Using this additional cover means your opposition will most likely be unable to shoot down your ramp, and if done correctly, you'll be on top of your opponent and winning the fight. Let's flip this around and now we are in the small base. In this one, I've just been in a sniper battle and someone is attempting to stealth into my base. The thing to do here is to build higher. 3 tiles is a perfect starting point. It doesn't use a huge amount of material, and if you are forced to jump out, you won't take fall damage. Sadly, I was out of material, so I was forced to stay only 2 tiles high. Here's a key mistake I want to show you. The person attacking began ramp rushing far too late and is forced to run up the side of my structure and slightly past the target. Because of this poor decision, he felt on edge and completely messes up his shot, leaving me with an easy escape. The point I'm making here is to build over your target rather than joining your ramp to their structure. Basically, you're a sitting duck if you ramp rush too late. Another great strategy to fool those ramp rushers is to downright cock block them. I'm not sure what else to call it. As they approach, throw down a floor tile and completely stop their rush. This absolutely messes up attackers who are rarely prepared. They become stuck in no man's land and must either back up or build around in a flanking motion, but by then, you've already got much higher and therefore in command of the fight. Speaking of flanking, sometimes you'll go up against someone who builds extremely fast. Usually these people will lose sight of you whilst they become the myth for 10 seconds. If you don't have the materials to contest them, use this window to relocate. If they can't find you, the high ground is absolutely worthless. Having the drop on someone can mean the difference between life and death. Okay, let's move on to more advanced strategies and how to combat master builders. There's no easy way to do this, but there are ways to negate a fight and reset who's in charge. This will always come down to the speed that you build and how much pressure you feel. So start off by going to the edge of the map and just practice building. Once you become comfortable with it, it becomes muscle memory and therefore much easier to do in a real fight. But at some point, you will go up against someone who builds better than you, and you'll find yourself stuck in this no man's land with no way to build higher. This is when you should use editing to restart your movement. Edit a door in your wall and build out and up. This is risky as heck, so you'll need to be fast, but if done correctly, you can be ascending again and closing the gap on your opponent. Each tile higher that you go, the pressure builds on both you and your opponent. If you can stay calm, you will win the fight. In this scenario, I finally caught back up to a great builder, and after a last-ditch wall block, he had nothing left and was so shaken he fell to his death. But I salute you anyway, Myth Junior. Keep in mind, the higher you go means certain death if someone blows up your structure with explosives, so descend safely and quickly. Generally speaking, in these giant build battles, there are 2 ways to progress in the fight. The first is by gaining the high ground, which you should practice every single opportunity you get. The more you do it, the more chance it will translate into muscle memory, therefore keeping you calm when you're in real tough fights. But you can also attempt the sporadic build method, especially when you're at a disadvantage, to throw off your opponent. Deceive your foe by beginning to build one way, then doubling back and going the other. As the tiles construct, the building sound gives away your location, but by building with random elements, it's possible to mislead the other players with audio. Additional random tiles on the ground also add support to your structures, just in case you're suddenly bombarded by rockets. Oh, and that reminds me, how the heck do you battle against rockets? Surprisingly, the best weapon against rockets are walls themselves. Depending on how you naturally play, you'll either back away from rockets or you will go up close and personal. In close combat, try to use a wall to block the rocket fire. You'll be surprised how many people kill themselves because the blast is too close to them, so maybe think about being more aggressive against rocket launchers. I feel now's a good time to admit I have killed myself countless times with rocket launchers. Is anybody else manly enough or womanly enough to admit it too? I'll be looking through the comments to applaud that honesty. Okay, let's do one more, but this time I want to hear your suggestions. The dreaded launch pad attack. Defending this maneuver can be difficult, but still, to this day, I haven't found anything better than placing a trap in your base. It's the greatest deterrent against those launch padders in my eyes. But what if that's not an option? Another great tactic is to build higher and deter the jumper with a few extra inches on your erection. There's a joke in there somewhere. But I'm not convinced by this approach. What do you think? And what am I missing? At this point, I want to open it up to you guys. Please comment below with your solutions to any of these battles, and I'll make a follow-up video and I'll be sure to name check everyone who contributes. So that's it for part 1 in our look at fight strategies in Battle Royale. Thanks for sticking around and I look forward to talking to you in the comments. I'm Adam from PlayStation Grenade. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you next time. Yeah, found him. Excuse me, sir, may I interest you in a hootenanny? Don't leave. Don't fine, bye-bye.